Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 4 of Introduction to Computer Science. This portion of the video is a lecture video on functions. So I am briefly sharing with you the week number 4 in Blackboard, and this video will be located right here. You should look at the overview beforehand. But let me share with you the lesson plan. And in the lesson plan, there is a section on the functions which will be based on zybucks. So if I look at the zybucks real quick, let's see. So here's the chapter 6 on functions. There are many sections here, but not all of them are assigned for this course. In fact, the ones that are assigned is listed 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Okay, so you can go through the basic elements of what the function is and how to use them. So I will talk about what is being assigned and what you need to know. So maybe I'll just go through and make some comments here, and let me make it a little bit bigger. So what is a function? A function is a set of code that is written to make a task simpler and easier. So in other languages, sometimes it is called a subroutine because it is a routine that it's being called to execute. But like when you type in a word print something, the word print doesn't actually do anything, but the code that is behind the word print will make that reserved word actually do things, right? And so that's kind of like what a function is. And even like in a Microsoft Word here, when you click on this little disk, that icon, it by itself is save, right? But that doesn't, by the image itself, doesn't do anything. It is the code that is associated with this image that actually does things. And it's really convenient because when you want to save, you don't want to write that code. You want to utilize that a function, the code that is behind this particular image, so that all you need to do is just click it, and then it happens. It does things for you. Maybe there are two other reasons why you may want to use then why bother using a function. Maybe the couple of reasons is to one, you can share this feature function with other people. When you develop a set of code that is useful, then in a team project, you may want to share that function with other people so that they don't have to recreate that since it's already been done. Another reason is that a function can be called over and over again. In other words, I can click on this over and over again, it'll do the same thing. So every time you want to save, you don't want to write that code over and over again. You can just create that function, save it somewhere, and you just need to call it or click it or something, then it'll do it for you. So there are several reasons that may be useful for us to keep in mind. Just a couple of things before I actually do a demo, and that is a function consists of actually creating a function, which we call a function definition, and then we need to actually call that function after that has been called. So I'll do a little demo on that. But the rest of them here is some codes that I have written that you can take a look at them. And this material here, you can just look at it as I'm doing some demos. Okay. So let me go back, and so here is a set of codes that you may want to look at as I'm doing the demo. So if you click on this guy here, here's several codes that I'm going to use it for practicing. Okay, and you can do the same thing since it's already available for you. So I'm already copied onto my note. So I'll go over to our trusty online compiler, and I'm going to, let's say, copy the first portion and then just paste it right here. So in this example, here is a function definition. The definition begins with the reserved word def, and then the name of your function. It could be whatever you want. In this case, it is called my underscore function, right? You can say whatever you want. And then all the codes that you want to be executed in when somebody calls this function. So in this one example, only thing that I'm going to do is just to print this message, hello, from a function, right? So this is a function definition. And notice that the code that is inside this particular function is indented. So you need to do this first. And the second thing is to actually call it. And the way you call it is simply name that function, which is my underscore function. And then so when your code is processed, it'll start from the top to the bottom. And then when it comes here, oh, this is definition. So I'm not going to actually do this. I'm going to collect all these things and put them on a table or something. And then I'll have it ready just in case somebody calls it. You come down here, it says, oh, my function, what is that? Oh, I don't know what it is. Because there is no such thing that is defined in the Python. Oh, wait a minute. Let me look on the table and see if the user actually created this function. And lo and behold, there is one, right? I mean, we could see this obviously clear because we can see it with our own eyes, but computer may not know it. So it says, oh, great, let me call that function, and then let's see what it is inside that particular function. And it says, well, print this message. Great. And then you'll do that, and then it's the end of the code. So let's take a look at how it works. All we got to do is just click on the run, and then what you will see on the bottom is simply hello from a function, right? So that's what this particular example does. And you may be asking, that's just such a lame example. I mean, why would we want to do that? Well, we may want to do this if there's a lot of code that needs to be built inside of a function. This is just an example just to show you how it is actually working in terms of framework. You probably wouldn't want to do this because this is just too easy, right? There's no real reason for this particular function in our real life. But let's look at another example. So let's see, let me grab it from the code that I posted. And let's say here. So here is an example where you can call that function multiple times. So I'm calling it 3 times. But another twist to this particular function is you can pass what we call a parameter. See, in previous example here, let me post it back here again. So here, what we had before was simply when you call that function, there was nothing inside of this parentheses. And so nothing is going to the function, and nothing is coming back from the function other than the code itself, right? So in this example, what we're doing is we're going to define a function, but in this function, it is going to receive a value, whatever the value is, for this variable called first name or fname, right? So, and then when you get it from the calling, when it's being called, it is going to print that name, like right here. And then I'm just going to add a static name Johnson, okay? So how do we get this value for this variable fname? Well, when we call that function, we will supply a value to the function. So this ml is going to be sent over here when it calls that function. It'll receive the value ml inside the bucket or variable called fname, and then fname will pass that value ml into here and then print. And it'll do this with the different values, right? So let's see how this one works, and I'll make some detailed notes about comments about this. So here, Emil Johnson, Tobias Johnson, Linus Johnson, right? So it is passing the value to the function using one value. So you can call this function and have different thing come out. And then you want to be careful when you are calling a function like this, when it is expecting a value. If you don't supply anything, that's a problem, right? Or maybe it'll put nothing there, which is not usually what you want to do. The other thing is you need to know how many values that you are going to receive, right? So here we are sending one value. And how did you know to send only one value? Well, you didn't. So there needs to be some documentation or notes about what my function is all about and how to use it, right? Just to say I have a function there doesn't really tell you how to use it correctly. You can pass more than one variable. So in this example, there's only one variable, so that's why I'm sending only one value. But if this function is expecting 2 or 3, then you can send multiple values, but they need to match in terms of number. If you are sending 3, there better be 3 buckets here. Okay. So let's say, let's try some other ones here. So here's the next one. And let's see how this one works out. Okay. So here you can use this function to play little games, but that's just little graphics here. Okay. Let me see if there's some other one that's more interesting here. So here's let me get rid of this one. Here's a function, print pizza area. So, and you want to give it a descriptive name, something like this, so that you don't have to wonder what this, you don't want to say def XYZ or something, right? But anyway, so here's a function. It is expecting one value, and you can preset a variable with a fixed number if you want to use a pi value, whatever, and then some equation to figure things out. And you can call that function using a pizza, and you want to know what the area of that pizza is, or the circle thing, right? So you can send a value, 12, 16, or whatever you want to do, and it'll figure out that value for you and return it. So let's take a look. So here, we're sending a diameter of 12, and you can verify if that is really true or not. The area is pi r squared or pi d, and so it should be okay. But you can use something like this. You can send a value, figure things out, and then you can print them out, right? So that's pretty interesting. So let's do maybe an example where there's more than one value. So here we go. Here's the a function definition that is expecting 2 values, right? And so this is sending 2 values. And not only do the number of these variables should match with the number of values sending, but the first one goes into the first bucket, and the second one goes to the second bucket and stuff like that, right? So if you send this guy here, it'll figure out all these things for you. So there are useful ways that you can do for functions, and only limited by your imagination as to what you want to do, what you can do in terms of the definition functions. Okay, but this is a demo on how a function is used. You need to create the function definition first, and then just call it, knowing how many and what variables are to be passed over. That's it for the demo. There are a few other ones that actually in the code you can try, and do that on the Zybook exercise.